I was listening to a lecture on the internet about the future of humanity, specifically as a civilization. And the lecturer gave three forms, identified actually four forms of civilization, stages of civilization. They called them Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, and Type 0 civilizations. We are, according to this scale, we are Type 0 civilizations, and the designation, the number, relates to how we work as a collective, as a species, and how we utilize resources on the planet. It's that old, intelligent use of what we've got around us idea. And at the zero level, we're basically burning fossil fuels, and the leftovers of the dinosaurs, and working as tribal states, individual little unions of people around the world, warring and fighting and bickering with one another and squandering the limited resources of the planet. It's an old argument that you've heard before, and that's where we are right now. And the lecturer, I wish I could remember his name. He's an astrophysicist, and he was. If I can remember it, I'll look it up. I'll put it up here. His name right there. I'm so terrible with names. Anyway, he described that we're at a critical juncture right now as a species. That the point that we're at now, at level 0, and about to enter level 1, like within 100 years, basically, my daughter Emily is likely to be part of the first generation of a level 1 society, where we have here's a word that's a loaded word, a lot of people don't like this word, more of a globalized society, an interconnected, mainly the main theme there is communicating, cooperating, collective of humanity around the world. When we get to that point, and we're actually beginning to utilize resources better for the long term, and on a global basis, we will have entered what's called level 1 society, civilization. We become a level 1 civilization, or stage 1 civilization. We'll remain in that state for a long time, and that'll be a good thing. That's going to be a dangerous phase for us to try to pass through from 0 to 1. Now, where it gets interesting though is when you go from 1 to 2, and then even more so when you go from 2 to 3. Again, it's all basically related to resource utilization, especially after you reach level 1. Level 1 is at the planet level, where we're making good use of an intelligent use of our planetary resources. Level 2 is where we begin to derive our energy, the energy that we actually use for our society, less from the planet and more from the actual source of it all anyway, the star, our star, the sun, which you can't see right now, this light up here that all these plants are, these are basically little solar cells right here. And I'm an animal, getting energy from that, and we can do that in a smart way. We can be deriving energy from the sun directly, right from the source, instead of getting it secondhand off of resources here on the planet. And I'm not sure exactly what kind of technologies that will involve, certainly things like solar and the like, but it will basically be a shift in the way we basically get the power that operates our society. We will become a stage 2 civilization at that level or stage 2. Stage 3 now, the most interesting, is when we switch from being by the way, the lecturer was saying that stage 2, when we reach that, we will have achieved, the word that he used was a fascinating word. He used the word immortality. Wow, anytime anybody throws a word like that around, and they're not doing it in jest or lightly, especially this was obviously a very well-reasoned man, considering a lot of things. Immortality. He's not talking about us as individuals, as a species. And I think what he means by that is that before we reach level 2, stage 2 civilization, we will be vulnerable to our species will be vulnerable to the fate of the planet. As the planet goes, so will we. If we screw it up and this planet dies under us, we basically die with it. We're like fish in an aquarium. If the aquarium is spoiled, so are we. But at the stage 2 level, we become solar-based. We basically begin deriving all of our energy from the star itself, from the sun. And we are then freed from this planet. We are more mobile in terms of being able to colonize other worlds, as long as within the solar system, and maybe if we can develop the technology for travel, maybe even venture out into other solar systems, escape this solar system when its time comes, which is a long time from now. The solar system will die. Our sun will die, but it's going to be a long time before that happens. Sorry, I got to interrupt you for just a second. I'm just pounding around out in the middle of nowhere, and I found a wall. This is the kind of thing I love discovering. Check that out. Isn't that just the coolest thing? I'm just out puttering around in the forest. I'm not even on a trail, really. And there's a wall. Someone was here. Someone did something amazing. I love stuff like that. Okay, well, stick with me as I push through this dense stuff. The dense stuff's the best stuff. And that's great, because that's what we're talking about now. The dense stuff about this idea. Let's get to stage 3. Stage 3 is the most exciting one. The stage 3 civilization. And that's where we are no longer an Earth-based energy economy. We are no longer a solar-based energy economy, meaning solar meaning our sun, our star. We instead are a galactic-based economy, energy economy. We are deriving our energy from the main source in our galaxy, the massive, supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy, as well as the other resources in our galaxy. Imagine that, being able to manipulate the power of a titanic furnace and energy source, such as a black hole, and harness that and utilize that for resource, for our civilization, for travel, and to power our machines and our systems, and to maintain our livelihood. We achieve a real point of independence and freedom that can be unimaginable, and to our current level. And the researcher, the lecturer, classified that as a stage 3 civilization. And he said that stage 3 civilizations may or may not exist in the universe. He gave some examples about how we seem to look out and we can't find any sign of them at this time. So they may not exist. Maybe no one ever gets to that point. But if we do, this is where I'm going to step off into my own wonderings, my own ponderings. This was, the lecturer gave us the 1, 2, 3 plus the 0 where we're at. What I was wondering, as I was just driving before I stopped the car and headed off into the woods, what I was wondering about, what kind of, to get from 0 to 1 to 2 and then to 3, isn't just a matter of luck. It isn't just a matter of simple organization and cooperation among nations and individuals. It's a matter of changing up here too. For individuals to be able to accommodate such a massive change in our society, we must have some accommodating capability within our brain. We have to change our brain somehow. And I was trying to think about what characteristics would be related to that. And one word just kept coming up over and over in my mind. Let me sit down here for a second. And the word was cosmopolitan. I thought that was a good word. You know, you hear about the cosmopolitan ice cream and those things. Like, well, what does cosmopolitan really mean? Well, I'm going to borrow from Carl Sagan, who described cosmopolitan as coming from the citizen of the cosmos. He was describing that in terms of the great city of Alexandria and the Library of Alexandria, one of the shining jewels of humanity's endeavors towards reason. And Alexandria, he described the citizens of Alexandria as before the fall of reason into the dark ages in the Western world, as cosmopolitan people. And I think if we're going to get to those levels in our society, in our civilization, as our species, we have to develop a more cosmopolitan mind. And what would a cosmopolitan mind be? I think a cosmopolitan mind would have the characteristics of reason, of critical discernment of evidence, and being able to have a process by which observations can be recorded, studied, measured, and then reevaluated, basically the scientific method. We have to have a greater capacity for appreciation for arts and literature and beauty, and then we come to the social aspects, greater tolerance as well, and greater understanding and education, and flexibility towards differing point of views, all of the hallmarks that typically describe, well, here's where I use another loaded word, a more liberal education, a more liberal mind. And I am a conservative person. I'm actually a Republican. So when I say that it means more of a liberal mind, I'm not talking about the liberal and conservative of politics. I'm talking about more of the open mind that comes from a lack of fear of change and difference. And I think that the cosmopolitan mind is what needs to be cultivated if our species is to make it to that point. And I think that we can do that, to become citizens of the cosmos, not just our own little turfs and territories. I hope someday that our civilization, our species can make it to a level like that. I hope that we will survive the 0 to 1 phase, which apparently is the most dangerous, and go on from there to one day colonize the stars, colonize the galaxy, move past the galaxy into the deep space and interstellar space, and through time, outliving hopefully our species will outlive. One day our sun will be a smoldering cinder of its current power. The Earth will be a charred biscuit at the outer edge of the dead sun. And our species will, I hope, be scattered amongst the clouds and the dust clouds and the stars of our little arm of the galaxy, and moving steadily edward onward with hope and anticipation, using the wonderful technology and the capabilities for harnessing energy in amazing ways. Yep, there you go. Cosmopolitan mind and the stage 3 civilization. Hope we make it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.